Great. Okay, and then just another note, in the chat on the side of Zoom, I dropped in a Figma link. So we're going to be accessing that a little bit today too. Okay, lots to go through, so I'm going to get started. So hello, everyone. We're going to talk today about the design thinking process. So in addition to internships and interview prep, one of the greatest ways to build up your technical skills while in school is working on these personal or collaborative side projects. So we're going to focus on the design thinking process, and it really just about how you can identify, brainstorm, and build out great projects or winning hackathon ideas. So a quick bit about me. My name's Nina. I lead design for the Google Maps team and Google New York. And then a quick share of my career path, just to highlight that, like, I didn't take an HCI program. I started my career as a creative associate at a creative agency, quit, realized I didn't like it, traveled all over Asia and made a really big career pivot, doing a lot of hackathons, things like that, trying my own side projects, and eventually landed a job at a design agency. But all this to say that, like, I'm at Google now. I love my job at Google Maps as a design manager, but it doesn't have to be like a traditional path in getting there. Okay, so workshop objectives. We're going to do 3 things today: learn the principles of the design thinking process, apply the process to create innovative solutions to identify problems, and then build out these solutions yourself or with your hackathon team. The goal of today is not to have a prototype in your hands by the end of the workshop. It's really just familiarize yourself with the design thinking framework, and then you can reuse it over and over again. So what is design thinking? Design thinking is a creative problem-solving process that focuses on a user-centered approach to create a solution that is technologically and economically feasible. So what is technologically feasible and economically feasible can change depending on your context. So what you're able to create as a student, or maybe today, will really differ from what you're able to create with a large amount of data or computing power that companies like Google may have. But even so, what's the most important piece of this is that it just creates a framework. So even if you don't have a ton of resources available to you, if you kind of follow this process, you can build large and small things. So let's take a look at what this is all about. The design thinking process was created by Stanford University and the company IDEO. It's being successfully used to create small projects and big ones. I believe Airbnb was an outcome of this process. And this methodology includes 5 phases. So the first one is empathize, observe, engage, immerse, define, express the problems in the form of point of POVs, ideate, so transition from identifying problems to finding solutions, prototype, getting ideas out of your head and into the real world, and then test. So we're going to try to do a quick version of all of this in the hour that we have. So quickly, let's talk about this first principle. And I think it's really important. It's one that we widely use at Google. It's really about focusing on the user, and all else will follow. There's absolutely no substitute for personally watching and listening to real people. So once you have your idea, try to get it in the hands of users as soon as you can. So this is what I mentioned about the Figma link. So if you have a team, just feel free to sync with them during these following exercises. If not, you can join one of these breakout rooms that I believe Naomi is going to create or send around. There's Figma pages in the links here. It's what I dropped in the chat. So you can either like create a page, work in Figma, work in your own Figma. I know that we're trying to figure out like remote and in person right now. So whatever you're most comfortable with, pen and paper is totally fine too. I just wanted to have kind of a place that you can drop ideas as well. Okay, so first is empathize. The first step is establishing empathy. So empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. I hope you don't mind and appreciate my euphoria memes throughout this to kind of tie the whole thing together. But really, if we want to focus on the user, our goal as we begin the design thinking process should be first to connect to someone's stories, insights, and emotions. So the user in design thinking would be the person or population for which you're hoping to build your solution. So this is our first exercise. So you want to put yourselves in the shoes of your selected population, your user, and emphasize with their day-to-day. And then this helps brainstorm all the potential obstacles they may come across. So you want to start thinking about the morning until the evening, walk through their day, identify these challenges. And really the important piece is be as specific as possible. So taking one of the themes from this hackathon, right, is education. So we don't want to just talk about users as people in education. It's a little too vague. We want to say college professors, junior year students, maybe moms with young children who are trying to remote learn, maybe remote learners. So really just in your group or on your own, select that population and write down a list of at least 10 challenges they face. So I'm going to put a timer on for 5 minutes. Does anybody have any questions about this first exercise? Nope. Okay, go for it. Timer's starting now. And like I said, feel free to work in the Figma file. There's a lot of artboards there that you can just kind of jam around on, make copies. Pen and paper is good too, or Figma files on your own if you have them. Is anyone having trouble with the Figma file or needs an explanation on how to copy, paste, move things around in there? Yep, I think Naomi, you're doing the right thing. Just like grab one of those artboards from Empathize, copy paste, and then start writing down. Perfect. Oh, it's so cool. See so many people in Figma at once. And like I said, pen and paper is totally fine too, whatever's most comfortable. About 1 minute left. And the Figma has different like pages on the side too. So if you wanted to like work in another page, that's an option. Okay. Does everyone have a chance to get some ideas down here? 10 challenges. Okay, we're gonna keep going. The next stages of the design process is define. So we want to define the problem now. So your goal is really analyze your observations about the user. So everything, the challenges that you wrote down, and you want to synthesize them to define the core problems you have identified into like one problem statement. So here's an example that I'll use with Rue. What the problem statement actually does is get to the root of the issue. So instead of Rue needs to go to rehab to make herself better, we want to actually say, well, Rue is a young kid struggling with substance abuse who needs to find a way to stay clean because it's important that her identity does not revolve around her addiction. So this stage really helps you kind of, and the people on your team gather great ideas to start thinking about features, functions, and any other element that will help you kind of solve the problem or help solve the real issues that the user is dealing with. So one way to frame the problem statement, and it's a way that we do it at Google, is we say a username is a user characteristic who needs a user need because of the insight. So for example, Jane Doe is a college professor who needs to build an inclusive curriculum because both in-person and remote students need to feel connected. So this will be our define exercise. We want to synthesize the problem statement that clearly defines your goals. Try synthesizing several of the challenges you've identified and then come up with one grand problem statement. So every one of you just wants to come up with one problem statement that you're going to focus on and define the problem statement as a problem statement in a human-centered manner. So use that framework of user need is a user characteristic who needs user need because of insight. And so we're going to do this for about 5 minutes. And you can see that in the other section, there'll be kind of cards there where you can kind of write out your problem statement and post your name at the top. All right, any questions from anybody? Nope, okay, I'm gonna give it 5 minutes. Feel free to like speak up or if you have questions, let me know if there's anything I can clarify. Go for it. So 5 minutes starting now. These are great. And again, this framework just kind of helps you think about establishing the problem and really getting a little bit deeper into like what the needs are. Okay, about 3 more minutes. These are awesome. Okay, 2 minutes. These are great. Yeah, but, Olivia, I love this one. Ben is a farmer's market vendor that's super specific, who needs to get rid of excess leftover produce because it will otherwise go to the trash and become food waste. Love it. Manav, Billy is an asthmatic biker who wants to know what his city is doing for air pollution levels because he really wants to go out and bike. These are great. Okay, so hopefully that was enough time. We're going to jump into the next one now. So ideate. This is where it gets fun. So ideating, your goal now is you engage in unfiltered, unrestrained brainstorming. So now that we've empathized with our chosen user, we've analyzed and synthesized those observations to define the problem, it's time to ideate. And so this is the phase where we think about all the possible solutions that come to mind. So you want to go from outlandish ideas to immediately actionable ones. Like I mentioned, it's really unrestricted time to do this. So how many of you have done like how might we statements before? Does that sound familiar? No? Okay, cool. So how might we statements are a good way of framing ideas without being prescriptive about the execution of the idea. So they're a really good place to begin just like generating ideas. They're really small but mighty questions. They allow us to reframe our insights into opportunity areas and then innovate on problems during the defining the problem. So what this means is how suggests we don't have a solution yet, right? Which we don't. Might suggests that there are many paths for us to go down and keeping it open-ended, right? And we really brings the idea of thinking as a team together. So you, how might we, and then you describe the goals, not the solutions. So for instance, the problem with vague and broad how might we's is that they might give like minimal direction or inspiration. And you want these kind of how might we's to really spark ideas. We do this, again, like I mentioned, at Google all the time. I have my team, engineers, product managers, data analysts, and of course the designers and researchers really engage in these kind of like activities. A good how might we statement can come from anyone, and it can help you focus on solving the problem. So again, let's take education as an example as it relates to a college professor and remote learning. So if you say, how might we create a VR meeting space so everyone's a hologram? That is a little prescriptive, right? Okay, so now all of a sudden the team is thinking, oh my gosh, we have to create a VR meeting room. We need holograms. It's like, it would be tough to kind of like brainstorm around that, right? Another one might not be a good example, right? Is like help remote students feel better. Well, what's feel better? Like, what does that mean? But what about how might we make remote students feel like active participants, right? So you're kind of getting into like the user needs, the emotions of it as well, and trying to solve around that, right? You want them to become active participants and engage. So what are ways that we can do that? Does that make sense? Any questions on how might we's or how we use them at Google? Awesome, okay. So let's try this. This is part one of ideating. We want to come up with several how might we's that are focused on your problem statement. So again, we're just kind of going through the design process and picking up on the piece right before. So try to describe the goals, don't write out solutions, and write out as many as you can. So how might we, and reframe your insights into your opportunity areas. So we'll do another 5 minutes of this. Are there any questions? Nope. Okay. I will put the timer on and the music on, and we'll go for 5 minutes on how might we's. I love this part. I think it's really just like whatever you're thinking, really just get everything down. And try to come up with as many as you can. Does anyone have Figma questions again? I just want to check. These are great. So about 2 minutes left for this one. I'm going to use Olivia as an example again, because I think these are really spot on and really great. So kind of using that farmer's market vendor as a user, how might we connect farmer's market vendors to local restaurants directly? That's great. How might we build new connections between vendors and buyers? So also thinking about another user group there. Spot on. Manav, I'm loving these as well. This was about the biker. So how might we get Billy's input on types of trails he could prefer over others? That's really cool. You're thinking about like this engagement model almost. How might we help Billy path his bike trails in a format that avoids areas of excess pollution? Awesome. Right? I'm like already like generating ideas off of these. So it's really cool. Okay, about 1 more minute on this one. Cool. Okay. How's that? Thumbs up? Cool. Okay. Let's jump to the second part of IDEATE. Also one of my favorite parts too. So crazy eights, has anyone ever heard of this before? No. Can you do emojis in Zoom, like thumbs up, thumbs down? Okay. So crazy eights is where you fold a piece of paper into 8 sections, and in each section you draw or write out an idea. So you don't have to worry about feasibility. You want to go blue sky. It's, again, a really popular ideation activity I use in almost all of my Google sprints. This example that I dropped in here is an example of Crazy Eights from United Nations. They were using the design process to think about how to increase food donations. And their goal was to nudge people to donate for 1 week rather than 1 day. So you can see there's just a range of ideas here. You can put it in a phone or a computer, but you can also just kind of storyboard it out as well. So again, don't worry about the feasibility of these solutions. It's more important that you just write down everything that comes to mind before narrowing in on one or just a few of the ideas. So you want to allow yourself to go blue sky here. So either write or draw. I think the best way to do this, we're going to do 10 minutes. So just take about like 1 minute per idea. And then we want to allow for like uploading too, is to use a piece of paper in front of you if that's easier. Again, fold it into pieces so you can do 8 different drawings. And then at the end of the 8 minutes, you just take a photo and then upload it to the Figma board. If you're more comfortable in Figma, that's fine too. You can kind of draw or sketch out ideas there as well. But generally for like rapid ideation, you just kind of want to like use a pen and paper and like scratch down ideas really quick. And then that way you can just kind of get that out and then upload it to the Figma. So we're going to do 10 minutes for this one. And just, again, just try to do 1 minute per idea. They're supposed to be really fast, just whatever's coming to your mind. Okay. All right. I'm going to start the timer now, unless anyone has any questions. Nope. Okay. 10 minutes for this one. 1 minute per idea. And then try and upload it to the Figma board so we can all take a look. I'm going to use the bike example again, around how might we help Billy path his bike trails in a format that avoids areas of excess pollution. So like what comes to mind for me right away if I were sketching down this idea is just like, okay, are there, 3 alternate routes, and one of them is like maybe a more carbon friendly route, one's a fast route, one's a safe route. Like, so then the user has the choice of like which path to take. Also getting Billy's input on types of trails, right? And it almost seems to be kind of like a feedback tool. So after Billy takes his bike route, do we then serve up something when we know he's complete that we want to get his feedback and then make the trails better for everyone? We can try another one too. So I see, how might we create a coursework that makes students actively engage in the coursework? How do we make that more fun? Do we gamify it? Is there like an interactive element to it? I could see those kind of being some sketch ideas. Matthew, yours, like how might we have building closer relationships between students and professors is really good. And like, maybe that takes you out of this like digital space, right? Like, how do we create this like interpersonal connection time too? Encouraging like walks or one-on-ones or coffees. That could be fun. So again, just quick sketches. And I'll tell you when we have 2 minutes left so you can take a photo. What I do is take a photo, email it to myself, and then I upload it to the Figma board. So we're still at 6 minutes, so we have time. You should be on about your 4th or 5th sketch right now. Okay, you should be wrapping up your 7th sketch and almost to your 8th sketch starting right about now. So like 1 minute for your last sketch. I see Olivia taking a photo of hers. It's perfect timing. We're almost at 2 minutes, so then you want to be kind of wrapping up, taking a photo, and uploading it to Figma. Okay, we're at the 2 minutes left mark, so pencils down, take a photo, email it to yourself, and then upload it to the Figma board. I'm excited to see some of these. We can create another one down here if we need it. Okay, about 1 more minute. So you want to be sending those sketches to yourself. Amazing. Oh, I saw one and then it went away. Feel free to drag them and drop them anywhere. They're for you, right? Cool. Yes, these are great. Okay, so that was 10 minutes. Give everyone just a little bit of time because I see some uploads happening. Cool. Hopefully that was fun. I see a lot of really good ideas. So this is great. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next phase, which is prototype. Awesome. So how do we know if these solutions are going to work? We prototype, and this Euphoria meme is because you're doing everything. You identified the user, you establish empathy, you define the problem, you ideated, so now you're going to take it all the way to prototype. So your goal here is draw out or craft what is possible, keeping in mind your MVP. So this is where we produce inexpensive scaled down versions of the solutions created in the previous stage. So as you build prototypes one by one, you're either accepted or improved or re-examining ideas based on what you think the user would feel when they saw them. So this is totally experimental. And how do you know when you're done? Well, you have a better idea of the constraints inherent within the product or feature, the problem in the solution you're currently prototyping, and then we'll have a more informed perspective of how real users would behave, think, and feel when interacting with the end product. So I have some examples here of what an MVP is, this minimal viable product, right? The idea is that the product, app, website, whatever you're working on, is developed with sufficient features to satisfy even those really early adopters, right? So the final complete set of features is only designed and developed after considering feedback from the first users who actually use your product. And you really want to make sure the first product is still functional. So let's say your goal was to create a vehicle that could take you places. Well, in the top example, there isn't much you can do with just a wheel, right? And that's like focusing on just a single feature, or even an axle or the body of a car. So that's not getting you to your end goal. But if you look at the image in the bottom, right? if you're still building a vehicle that takes you places, a skateboard works, right? It's not your end goal in mind, but you're getting there and people can use it. And really, like, you want to give even those early users a product that they can actually use, that supports the goal that you're trying to achieve. Cool. So here's a quick video too, where I mentioned that even if you don't have access to a ton of resources, funds, you can still accomplish the goals you set out to do. So here's a video that demonstrates exactly that. This example is from IDEO, in which the team was tasked with prototyping an Elmo's Monster Maker iPhone app. So rather than using all these developers' time to code up the app, create fancy mocks, right? That's a lot of work for a designer and developers. They just used this giant foam cutout of an iPhone, stuck a person behind it to demonstrate how the app would be used, and the whole process cost much less than the actual app would. So these are totally reasonable prototypes, right? To get an understanding of how users would actually interact. And then they found out the idea was actually worth building. So let me see if I can play this.
So music starts, and players slide come in and touch the monster, and you can use the dance move. And it can go for as long as I want. It has a few signature moves. And when I've had enough, when I'm done dancing, I push the back button. Cool.
Cool. So really, it's just the point I wanted to try to get across was like that you can kind of prototype and experiment with ideas that are completely low budget and even pitch them in ways that are really low budget too. Like I feel like we all got the sense of what the app was trying to do here, and it was really like an idea worth building. So, oops. Here is our prototype exercise. So if you want to use Figma, that's fine. We can sketch it out again. But really, we kind of want to go back to that paper prototyping idea of like cheap, easy, effective. So whatever materials you want to use, feel free to do it. But we want to pick one of your feasible ideas. So in that kind of like crazy eights activity you did, just pick one, like a single frame, a single concept, a single idea, and then think about really like fleshing out that solution. What would that look like? Think technology needed, time required, money needed, resources available, and you kind of want to build on the idea a little bit more. So like you did a bunch of quick sketches, now just pick one and kind of like flesh it out a bit. So we'll just do this for 10 minutes. Does anyone have any questions? No? Okay, timer started. So again, same thing, sketch out the idea with that pen and paper. At the end, we'll upload it to Figma. Nina, I love the diaper ideas. These are so creative. Okay, we'll give it another 5 minutes maybe. Does anyone have any questions? About 4 minutes left, so as you start to kind of wrap up this stage, you want to think about taking a photo of it, doing the same thing, emailing it to yourself and uploading it to the Figma board. I'm really excited to see how diapers then became kind of even a more thought through idea. And farmers market ideas. So you want to be kind of getting to the point where you're taking a photo and uploading it to that final board. I see some of them coming through. Amazing. Feel free to drop these anywhere too, like whatever space you need on Figma is yours. Oh man, Nina, I love how you thought through all of this, like the packaging ideas too, advertising and marketing. It's really, really cool. Partnerships, love that. Okay, just one more minute here, and then we're gonna go to the last step. So get your ideas uploaded. Cool, okay. I'm gonna move on. Last stage is testing. So we've made it to testing. Your goal, although nerve-wracking, is to test the complete product using the best solutions identified during the prototype phase. So testing is a really iterative process as well, right? Like if it's a product that's to the point where you can send it out to a lot of users, then you want to collect as much feedback as you can. But generally, we also go by the principle that like, even if you share it with 8 people, get feedback from them, that's enough feedback to then make an informed decision of like what you can lose, what you can tweak, what you need to move on with. So like Ethan, you have to be brave here. You have to like put your idea out there, get it in the hands of users, really start talking about it. So testing is also about like crafting a human story to inspire others towards actions. So because we're all a bit remote, rather than pair with someone in your group and convince them that your solution is worth building, this might be something you want to do after this workshop. Find somebody in the hall. Olivia, it looks like you can find somebody in the cafe, show them your idea, get some quick feedback, ask them what they think. But really, you kind of just want to be scrappy in this stage and like get as much like user feedback as you really can. So we'll skip this one for now, just given the amount of time, but I really, really encourage you to do this. Cool, so we just have a couple more minutes. Is there, no pressure, but is there anyone who wants to like share their process? Was it easy? Was it challenging? Did it help you get to a little bit more of a refined solution? Okay, I hope so. Are there any questions at all? Okay, cool. Well, I am really excited to see all your ideas. Like I mentioned in the beginning, doing these kind of hackathons, participating like this really kind of creates a framework for you to then feel more confident in trying side projects, pitching to companies. When you're interviewing, like say at a place like Google, I love to see that you've participated in something like this and came out with an idea. It's really, really inspiring. And definitely makes you a really good candidate for hire. So again, kudos to participating this weekend. This is my email. If you have any questions or you want to reach out, I'm happy to chat. But this was really fun. Naomi, thank you so much for letting me be a part of this.
Thank you so much, Nina.
Okay. Bye
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you.